Chirabo is a 15-year-old girl living with her mother and two brothers in C sub-county, Buyika district, along the shores of Lake Victoria. Chirabo's mother said she could not afford the 180,000 Uganda shillings tuition required at the nearby private nursery school, so her daughter never attended nursery. When COVID-19 forced schools to close, the delay grew even longer, and Chirabo had to wait until she was older to join a community school that could only be accessed by walking through a forest. When she joined, she could neither read nor write, and she struggled to keep up with classmates who had attended pre-primary and were much younger. After repeating primary 1 and failing to cope in primary 2, following automatic promotion, Chirabo eventually dropped out in early 2025. When we traced her in the village, we found Chirabo at a small stream washing clothes, a task she does whenever she is not accompanying her mom to the fields where they labor together.
Nali sina busobozi zokumusomesa mu nursery. Oloka yo nursery yo ya beyi. Kati kwe kulinda aweze emyaka naye atandika P1. Kati esente zempaka sa olunaku mu wiiki nfunamu emitwalo 3. Kati ku mitwalo 3 ezo singa sisobola ki kuweerera mwana ku nursery. Oloka nursery lyo ba mitwalo 18 mwana asooka. Zeze ntasobola sente zempaka sa sente za kuliisa baana.
Chirabo's story is far from unique. Across Uganda, countless children face similar setbacks.
The mature boys and girls who came at the age of 9, 10 in P1 of this school, and they did not study nursery classes. Some of them drop out. Like when I see one is somewhere not very far from this school, he found a challenge of the younger people defeating him in the class, went back and told the parent, for me, I'm not going to study. Children call me, I'm dull. Children call me, I'm stupid. Children say, I'm Jajawa P1. There is a girl who came in P1, started going through this menstruation cycle in P2. And this younger ones could not fit. She instead goes to play with the P4 girls during break time. And when they sound the bell for going back to class in P1, P2, does not accept, wants to play with those people, you find her hiding in the toy. And in fact, that one made the girl to what? To drop out of school.
In Chotera district in southwestern Uganda, 73-year-old Nabuma Christina cares for 10 grandchildren, some of whom should be nursery school, but remain at home because she cannot afford the fees. Struggling to provide food, Nabuma would send them to dig in people's gardens during school hours, a situation that has caused friction with some community members who fear that uneducated children may become future thieves.
Era nga baagala kunsiba nti abaana mbabeezo waka lwaki tebasoma bajja kuba babbi bayaaye be basoma ennyumba z'abantu ne bajja wano nga banvuna mbaga nti bannasiina kyakukola nga babasanga mu kkubo muzeeyo eri ettala nsumba ng'abeera abaana mwe tujja kujja tusibe jjajjammwe lwaki tuusa omukyala lujjaganya n'ajja wano nangamba mukadde tugenda kusiba abaana bagende kusoma bagamba sirina ssente kubanga omwana atali omu abatali babiri.
The consequences of missing out on pre-primary education follow children for life. At Kabwoko Church of Uganda Primary School, 3 candidates preparing for their final primary leaving examinations in 2025 shared their experiences.
Nina emyaka 15 era ebizibu ebisinga byenfeesinze mu primary yange yonna okuva P1 mpaka P7 wendi kati. To read the question, it is hard for me, and to interpret it, it is hard for me.
Ne myaka 14 najja mu P1 nga simanyi kuwandiika nga teacher waba asomesa abalala nze mpa kabaawo nampa kyoko ne mpandiikako nga bba abalala babawa penso n'ekitabo bo ne bawandiika. Nze nali ssomye nursery era nga sibimanyi kyambeera kizibu okuwandiika. Abaana abalala nga bo babawa shaati ne basoma naye nga nze sizimanyi ng'era sisobola bisoma. Nakati okuwandiika era nze mu kirasi mpandiika bubi.
Natandikira wano P1 nga nina emyaka 8. Saasoma nursery olw'okuba nti nali mukulu mu kirasi ng'era nakyo kimmenyamu katonotono ng'era sisobola kukwatagana bulungi na bannange kubanga bo baali bato mu myaka ng'ate bo bamanyi okuwandiika obulungi. Era ne kaakati mu P7 mwe tuli nze nsembayo okumala waaka olw'okuba nti mpandiika mpola.
Nina omwana gwe nafuna mu kibiina ekisooka. Yajjanga emyaka gye mikulu ng'alina emyaka 13. Esooka ne tumugezesaako ekibiina ekyokubiri. Twagenda okulaba omusomesa eyali amututte yagenda okulaba ng'afunyeemu obuzibu n'amunkomezaawo mu kibiina ekisooka. Kati omwana ebisoomooza bye yasinga okulaba mu kibiina muno nga tuli naye yagenda okujja nga ye emyaka gye mikulu, banne bamanyi okuwandiika amannya gaabwe, bamanyi okukwata obulungi ekkalaamu ezaabwe, naye nga bambiyo n'okukwata ekkalaamu nga tasobola. Kati nekyasinga okumumenya banne ng'ate olumu bamusekerera. Naye waliwo ekiseera bwe kyatuuka n'awulira nga bizitoye, twagenda okulaba ng'omwana oyo avuddewo.
Kati abaana abatasomye nursery batera okugira ku myaka 9, 10. Bw'atuuka mu kibiina n'asanga banne n'alaba ng'ate bato nnyo gy'ali. Ebiseera ebisinga omwana oyo yeetya. Kati omusomesa agezaako mukolako omukwano naye ebiseera ebisinga bwe tutuuka mu kibiina ekyokubiri ye alaba nti akuze nnyo, alaba nti aswala, ne bava mu ssomero nga tebamalirizaako.
Teachers say it is difficult to handle learners who never attended nursery, and children who missed foundational learning often struggle academically. As a result, some public schools now improvise by creating nursery sections or special classes, but many say the cost is too high without government support, especially in rural communities where most parents are subsistence farmers.
Mbeera n'abasomesa bana mu nursery naye okubasasula kimpa obuzibu ku mitwalo 46. Basasula buli omu ajja yeeramula akugamba njagala transport kuba sina we mbasuza. Kati abamu bava kaliisiza benaku akeera najja olina omuwa ssente ng'asobola okufunako ne transport nekikubeerera nga kya bbeeyi. Ng'oggyeko ebbeeyi n'okulabika tebalabika. Kati nga ffe amasomero agali mu byalo musomesa omumatiza nti jangu osomesa eno mu kyalo oluusi kikaluba, baagala nnyo ebibuga. Omugamba jangu mu kyalo oba olina omuwa ssente nnyingi ate olina omuwa waasula bye tutalina. Bwe tutunuulira ku bintu ebikozesebwa mu nursery bya bbeeyi okusinga bye tukozesa eno mu primary nga materials. Kati mu primary tukozesa nnyo manila papers, mu nursery baagala fluorescent kuba baagala ebintu ebiri attractive. Kati bw'ogenda otunya fluorescent ku bbeeyi ya fluorescent ya 2500 ku 3, manila ya 1000. Kati wesanga nga nursery ya bbeeyi okugibeezaawo okusinga ki bino ebintu bye tukozesa. Engeri gye tuli mu kyalo eno abazadde baffe abasinga tebalina nnyo busobozi busasula ssente ezo kubanga abasinga bonna bazeeyi tebabeera n'abaana abo. Kati ssente tebalina bulungi neweesanga abaana bawa ssente katono ate abaana ne balemererwa. Ne tulemererwa okubawa ekyemisana oba kabuleeke kubanga ssente zijja ntono. Nursery tulinamu abayizi 45 naye okusinziira ku nnamba yaabwe eyakawa tulinamu abaana 10 be bakasobola okuwaako ssente bukyatandika ttaamu eno.
In Bukewa Primary School in Namayingo district, the head teacher says that it is difficult to convince parents to contribute towards the establishment and management of a nursery section at his school.
If we were to initiate and have a nursery class, it will be so difficult and they don't want even to hear it for a child to have a nursery class, asking parents to pay some money for the maintenance of the nursery class, for the supply of the materials which nursery class uses, and for the teacher who teaches the class. Their earnings are low because their businesses are just to go to the lake, and some go to gardens, and they have different just areas or plots where they are existing, where they are staying. They don't have even land where they cultivate to earn at least a living by selling some of the crops that they cultivate.
When public primary schools like Bukewa Primary School do not provide pre-primary or nursery sections, it leads to the emergency of substandard schools to fill the gap.
We as a district, we don't run those nursery sections. For us, our responsibility is from primary 1 to primary 7. However, we offer inspection. We work with the CCTs to train those teachers. The inspectors also go out to the field to support those systems, but we don't put in any funding. Nursery sections demand a lot of things, play materials. Then paying teachers becomes a little bit problematic. And finally, the structures. Most of the schools we have in our districts, they don't have adequate classrooms. Yet these children deserve the best environment for learning.
So the evidence about the negative impact of lack of public funded pre-primary, or what many people call nursery education, is overwhelming for government to maintain the status quo. As ISA, we have done research with Human Rights Watch where we have demonstrated that the fees charged by schools is unaffordable for many Ugandan families, especially the ones in rural areas, which means that many children are missing out on foundation learning. And we are seeing the lifelong consequences that they are facing. When children start late, they repeat classes, and when they repeat, they lose interest. When they lose interest, they eventually drop out. When they drop out, they go into child labor, child marriages, teenage pregnancies, and when you compound all that, what does it do to our human capital development as a country? Even the report of the Education Policy Review Commission, which was published this year, shows that Uganda is lagging behind Kenya and Tanzania, where already pre-primary or nursery is compulsory and free. So we need to do something urgently. One, government can start by providing for 1 year of free pre-primary at schools implementing universal primary education, and then progressively we can get to the 3 years. But also we need to go back to the Education Act and do an amendment such that the financing of pre-primary is not left to parents.
Government should take up these nursery schools. Many things will come with it. One, infrastructure will be improved. Then two, we shall see teachers being paid, and that will also add the motivation of these teachers or caregivers in these nursery schools. It will be responsibility of government to make sure that these nursery schools have maybe capitation, meaning that there will be a reduction in the cost of running them, either making them free so that each parent is able to afford for his child to go in these schools. In this generation, we have more of mothers going to work, so it will be more comfortable for a mother to leave a child at a school level as a nursery school. So, and what does that mean? That we shall have more productivity of our women at the workplace because they have left their children in a safer place. Most of these nursery schools have been started by the community and the parents, meaning they have seen a need to have them. And this one promotes what we would call bottom-up planning. Where there's a need, then the government should come there and help these parents.